Hi everyone. Today we're looking at resistance and at the idea of, the idea that things shouldn't be here. This shouldn't be happening. I should be different. I shouldn't have these sensations. I shouldn't have this pain. I shouldn't have this, these emotions or this state of mind or this fear or this anxiety. Oh, yeah. It's a tough one, this, isn't it? Because, it's especially tough because that that state of resistance is is counter, really, to who we are, and the state of resistance is a function of trying to return to the peace and freedom and limitlessness that we know ourselves to be, except we're trying to find it in the places where peace and freedom cannot be found. We're trying to find them by fixing in place the right experience or the right emotions or the right idea of freedom, or we're trying to fix in place a body that will never get injured or diseased or ill or will not die. So we're trying to fix these things in place, and when it doesn't happen, of course there's tremendous resistance to that. Of course there is, because it's fundamentally known that we're looking in the wrong place. It's fundamentally known that there's something off and not us really about all of this. So no wonder there is resistance to anything that seems to be contrary to the fundamental peace and freedom that we know ourselves to be. So totally natural, that, very natural. And what we can see is it's not going to help by adding in resistance to the resistance, like all the, sort of these sort of nice spiritual things saying, just be, just accept, just allow, and then we can't. So we're like wired up resisting. No, get all this away. I don't want all this. And some wise guy comes in saying, just allow it. And so then we think, oh God, I shouldn't be resisting. If only I wasn't resisting, then I would be okay. So then there's massive resistance to the resistance, and we can see why we end up in such a tears. In fact, it's amazing, I think, that any of us are, allowed to. Well, amazing that we're sort of as doing as well as we all are. I think that's a better way to say it, because it's so easy to get in these circles and these wheels and ramping up of thought on thought and blame on blame and resistance on resistance. And so let's have a breather, and let's just see that that's what's going on, that the resistance to the experience, whatever that is, whatever mental, physical, out there, whatever it is, the resistance to it is because there's an idea of somewhere to get to, of a state of mind that would be better, of a series of emotions that are acceptable, of an idea that bad emotions or bad thoughts or bad experiences says something about me, all of that means that there will naturally be resistance. Can't not be, really. Makes total sense. So we can see that, and we can maybe that's it. Yeah, we're just seeing the resistance and knowing. Yeah, we're seeing the resistance, and at the same time, this conversation is telling us that the idea of trying to control experience, trying to control emotion, trying to only have certain thoughts, that idea itself is the fundamental cause of suffering, because there is no controlling of that. The self is trying to control it, but actually the self is the spider in the web of it all. The self's trying to stop it happening, but without the self, it wouldn't even be there. So the self is like busy, but it's spinning more and more web, just getting more and more tangled up in it. So the absence of resistance comes from seeing that nothing can be pushed away, and ultimately nothing can be brought in either by the self. The self cannot do any of that. It can't control, just like it can't shout at the sky and control a storm. Like King Lear in all his madness, trying to control and speak to the storm. It's insane, isn't it? We can't do it. It's impossible. So there's a fundamental shift from that desperate attempt to control, and therefore the resistance to anything that is deemed unacceptable, and a shift to the having of what's ever there, the having of it, because there's nothing else is possible. With or without resistance, it's still there, it's still happening. And what we'll find, but it has to be this way round, what we'll find is in the openness to it all, in the absence of any thought of attempt at control or pushing away, it changes. We find that the resistance was keeping it all in place as a fixed thing. But it has to come from openness. It can't come from trying to not resist what's there. You see, because that then is just more resistance into the mix, more resistance of the resistance. We're open to it all, including resistance. And the openness has to come from that shift in understanding that there is no point in anything else, like fundamentally no point. And then there's an enormous shift from this tight, controlling self, trying to drive this boat around, whatever, to this space in which all experience is arising. It's a fundamental falling away of an identity that is an utterly transformational shift in being. And it's from the realization that nothing has to change, that nothing can change, that there is nothing else. There is just being. Okay, we'll talk about that one more. All right, lots of love. Bye.